Hello everybody. Today we are going to be discussing about one of the most important standards while carrying out the audits, and that is called the SQC1, the Standard on Quality Control. It talks about the importance of quality control while carrying out the audit engagements. This particular standard was issued in April 2009 and is applicable to all the firms. And the objective of this particular standard is to provide reasonable assurance as to whether the personnel of the firm, the people of the firm, including the partners and the people, are compliant with applicable professional standards, some of the regulatory and legal requirements, and in addition to that, the firm's policies as well. So let's understand a little about what are the roles of different individuals on an audit engagement. Therefore, the most important individual on this particular engagement is the audit engagement partner. The audit engagement partner has to be a qualified chartered accountant and a partner in the firm. He has to be someone who is the best placed person in the organization to carry out that particular audit engagement. He also has to have the relevant experience of audit engagements. And most importantly, he is someone who is capable of issuing a report, which is the audit report, in line with the regulations and other requirements. Let's now go to the engagement quality control reviewer. This is a very, very important designation, and therefore the person can be either a partner with the firm, or he can be a director within the firm, or he can be any other person who is competent to deliver the quality on the audit engagement. He is someone who will understand the work done by the audit engagement partner. He is actually involved independently in the planning, in the execution, and in the conclusions reached. He is someone who will evaluate whether the significant estimates and judgments made by the audit engagement partner are in line with the standard and whether the conclusions reached are in line with the standard. He's somebody who independently reviews the quality of the audit engagement and provides its clearance to the audit partner. Thirdly, let us understand who are the other individuals who will be a part of the engagement. So besides the quality reviewer and the engagement partner, there is a team of qualified and unqualified people who are best placed on the engagement so as to ensure the delivery of the engagement on time and to complete the engagement in line with the expectations of the management and of those charged with governance. Similarly, over here, a partner is someone who is an engagement partner, who is an individual and who has an authority to bind the firm in relation to the work being carried out and be responsible as well. So this particular assurance is on the assurance of the quality to the engagement. It is a reasonable assurance because you cannot provide a 100% or a very high level of assurance. It's a high level of assurance, but not a complete assurance. What are the elements of a system of a quality control? So there are certain things which ensure that there is quality in the audit engagements. And the first thing would be the leadership responsibilities for the quality within the firm. How is leadership involved in delivering the quality? Second would be the ethical requirements. The third would be what are the procedures on the client acceptance and of course the client continuations. Fourth, what are the people, who are the human resources who are going to be involved to deliver quality on the engagement? Fifth, most important, how is the engagement being performed? The performance of the engagement. And finally, the monitoring of quality and the conduct of the engagement. So these are some of the important things that we will discuss, and I'll spend 1 minute on each one of these as well. The leadership responsibilities for qualities within the firm is the tone at the top. What does the leadership think about the importance of quality in the audits that the firm will carry out? And therefore, they promote an internal culture of quality. The CEO of the firm or the managing partner of the firm is responsible to assume the ultimate quality on the audit engagement. He is someone who is being assigned, who is assigning the right people, the right personnel on the audit. Secondly, he also will be responsible to ensure that these individuals are properly evaluated, they are properly compensated, and they are advanced in their knowledge and they are properly trained as well. And finally, he also ensures that there is a right amount of quality being delivered on the engagement. Thirdly, the CEO or the national managing partner should have sufficient and appropriate experience and ability and the necessary authority to assume that particular responsibility. He is someone who is high in the chain of command and he takes that responsibility to deliver the audit quality on the engagement through the people who has been chosen or who have been chosen by him. Ethical requirements. Some of the policies and procedures which need to be in place to comply with the ethical requirements of the Institute of Chartered Accountants include integrity. Integrity is something which can be easily defined in different ways, but the ethical value of the individual and his conduct on the engagement is very, very important. How well he carries himself, how independent is he on the audit engagement, and with what levels of integrity does he play the role of an engagement partner. His objectivity, his rationale, his thought process, very, very important. Professional competence and due care. Is he professionally competent to carry out the audit? Does he have the relevant knowledge of the accounting standards and the auditing standards? And does he have the knowledge of the given sector in which the company is sort of, part of it? Confidentiality. How well does he conduct himself? How well he keeps the issues of the client confidential, because he's bound by confidentiality terms. And finally, the professional behavior. What is his judgment? What is his rationale? How professional? What kind of professional skepticism as a leader does he sort of, ensure while conducting the audit engagement? So therefore, the firm's policies ensure these kind of ethical requirements. More importantly, also, what kind of an education and training does the firm impart to its people to make sure that they are completely ready and capable to carry out the audit effectively and efficiently? And what kind of monitoring is being done to ensure that if at all there are any non-compliances, how would they be dealt with? Let us now go to one of the most important things, and that is, of course, the independence of the audit team, of the firm, of the people, of everybody who are related to the audit engagement and who are a part of the firm as well. So independence on assurance engagement should be of the highest order. Within the firm, there should be policies and procedures being laid out to what extent the firm needs to be independent. The independence of the firm is defined under the Code of Ethics. It's a part of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India requirement. And at the same time, now it's being laid out under the Companies Act as well. And therefore, people need to be independent. The firm will have its own policies. For example, there are different ways in which independence is being defined. In some cases, it is independence of the partners of the firm. It is independence of the audit engagement team. It is independence of everybody else who is supporting on the engagement. It could be the independence of the people in the chain of command. However, in many other firms, the independence is of the firm as a whole and at large, and therefore, it depends upon policy to policy of the firm. Communication of independence is very, very important. And therefore, you need to communicate to everybody within the firm what is independence. There should be trainings conducted for independence. There should be some tests conducted for ensuring that people have understood the independence requirements very clearly. In case, if at all, there are any threats to independence, the firm should lay out certain policies and procedures that those threats need to be communicated to the person responsible to evaluate the independence. And finally, he or she will decide how to safeguard, how to come out of that issue, and how does the team and the firm remain independent of the audit engagement. What kind of threats would you normally see on an audit engagement as far as independence is concerned? These are the threats which relate to self-interest. For example, the auditing firm or the partner or any associate has got a financial interest in the firm. He could be having securities, he could be having shares, he could be having anything. It could be a direct financial interest, or it could be any indirect financial interest. There could be a self-review threat, independence, impairment. It means that the member of the audit team could be previously a director or a senior employee of the client, which results into a self-review. It could be also on account of the fact that an individual will be involved in the accounting of financial or accounting function, or he could be a part of the preparatory team of financial statements, and then he's doing the audit. So it's a question of self-review, and that could be a big threat on the audit engagement. It could be an advocacy threat, whereby an auditor promotes the opinion of the client. It is like, of course, everything is fine, and I'm sure, it's fine. So it could be something where an auditor promotes client's opinion, and it could lead to an advocacy threat. Fourthly, it could be a familiarity threat, whereby an auditor has got a fantastic relationship with the client and ends up being sympathetic to the interest of the clients. It's like, okay, fine, I think I'm fine with you. That could be, again, a very, very big impairment of independence. And finally, the intimidation threat, which I think is very, very important for people to understand, that many a times the clients can put the pressure on you, would want to impose upon you, would want to intimidate you to, that, this is my view and that's it. I'm not going to hear anything else. And this is something where you need to be very careful, because if you are self-intimidated, then you are losing your independence to be a part of the team and to be a part of the audit engagement. What are the safeguards that you can have in order to ensure that there are no independence threats? First, of course, you need to obtain a written confirmation at least annually that every individual within the firm or people to whom the independence laws or requirements are applicable notify in writing to the independence partner or to the independence team that yes, they are completely independent of all the clients. For all the audits of listed entities, the engagement partner rightly should be rotated after a predefined period of time, and this predefined period of time should not be exceeding 7 years. 7 years is also defined under the International IFAC Code of Ethics, and therefore 7 years is the maximum period of time. And finally, of course, if at all you have to have an independence being evaluated independently, then you need to have an independent partner who is not associated with the audit engagement. It is he who will define and he will see or oversee the independence requirements as such. It's also important that the independence requirements and independence issues are discussed with those charged with governance, which is the audit committee. Then, in case if at all you are involving any other firm to be a part of your own engagement team, then you are required to ensure that that particular firm is also independent. In the event that you are coming to a conclusion that you are not independent as an auditor for whatever reasons, then in that particular case you need to withdraw from the engagement. Or in the event that a particular individual is not independent, then you need to ensure that that individual should not be a part of the audit team as such. The third most important thing is about accepting the audit clients and also renewing the acceptance on a recurring basis, which could be on an annual basis as such. So there should be some kind of policies and procedures. Most important from an acceptance perspective, important to check the background of the directors. Today, various kinds of information is available on the domains, on the public domains about the directors. You need to check as to whether these individuals are the people with whom you would want to get associated. You need to consider the integrity of such individuals. You need to consider the integrity of the management. These are important things that you need to ensure. Finally, of course, most important is to ensure that the people who are going to be a part of the audit team, as to whether they are competent, whether you have the right mix on the audit team, whether you have the right partner, the right manager, the right engagement leader, the right team down the line, a mix of qualified and not qualified people, and whether they have complied with all the ethical requirements. And therefore, the firm, from a client acceptance and renewing the acceptance perspective, should obtain such information as it considers necessary before the acceptance of the engagement with a new client. You need to have all such information before you accept a new client. And in case if at all you are continuing with an existing client, then you need to review these things on a recurring basis, on an annual basis, or at least whenever the circumstances will require you to do so. Some of the acceptance and continuation procedures and relationships also include some of the policies which relate to evaluating the integrity of the management and considering the risk on the audit engagement. For example, if at all you see certain specific industries which are susceptible to certain risks, then you need to decide as to whether you would want to accept or you want to renew that particular client as such. Ensuring also people with professional competence deliver the audit. You need to have a deeper understanding about the services that you are required to perform. Audit is definitely the service that you are giving. In addition to that, you need to decide as to what kind of other permissible services you may want to give. However, anything to do with the acceptance or the renewal of the client, if at all there are any significant issues, then these need to be discussed with the chain of command, with the senior people, with the audit leader, and then you need to document those things. And most importantly, how well have you mitigated in case if at all any risks are there on the client acceptance. The firm's policies and procedures should be designed to provide a reasonable assurance that the firm's people have got sufficient capabilities, they have the competence, and they are committed to the ethical principles, very, very important, that such people are carrying out the professional work in accordance with the professional standards, and the firm or the engagement partners have issued the reports or will be issuing reports which are appropriate under the circumstances, which means that the reports need to be in line with the standards on reporting and they should be adequately clarifying or disclosing all that is required to be disclosed. Let's go to the next one, and that is, of course, the human resources. Human resources means the people who are a part of the engagement, the people who are a part of the firm, the people who ensure quality. And therefore, you need to be very, very careful insofar as some important matters are concerned, such as the recruitment of people, the evaluation of the performance of the individuals, the capabilities, the competence, what kind of a development plan you have of the career of those individuals, what kind of promotions you are giving to such people, compensations, and most important, have you estimated their needs as such. And therefore, these are the important things that you need to evaluate from a people perspective. You also need to ensure that you train your people, you give them the right training, you give them the training on the accounting standards, auditing standards, sectorial training, regulatory issues training, compliance training, etc. That has to be adequate training so that they meet with the professional educational requirements. At the same time, the work experience. In some cases, when you are involving people who are going to be playing an important role on the audit team, what kind of an experience they have, having worked in other firms and having worked on the clients of the firm as such as well. And of course, there has to be coaching, there has to be regular interaction with the team to make sure that they are properly developed in terms of their own capabilities as well. Assignment, or what we say mobilization of the audit engagements team. It is a responsibility of the leadership, it is a responsibility of the partners, it is a responsibility of the audit engagement leader to ensure that the right people are deputed on the audit engagement team. As I mentioned earlier, there could be a mix of qualified and non-qualified, but someone who takes the responsibility audit engagement leader, and that audit engagement leader reports into the audit engagement partner. In addition to that, we have got individuals such as tax partners, valuation partners, valuation teams, IT teams, etc., who provide the necessary audit support to the audit team as such. Engagement performance. While performing the engagement, you need to make sure that there are policies and procedures whereby individuals are very clear that in the event that they come across any debatable issue or any kind of a contentious issue, then those are escalated to the technical team, those are escalated at the right time to the quality reviewer, and those get resolved adequately. And therefore, there should be sufficient resources available within the firm to enable appropriate consultations. Consultations, when referred and when concluded, needs to be sort of documented. There can be an instance where the engagement partner, the quality control reviewer may not agree, and therefore when escalated within the firm, the technical team can take that particular call. And it is important that you document, even in case if you as a quality reviewer would not agree on the engagement with the engagement partner, on a particular issue with the engagement partner, in which case the technical team or the ultimate leadership will take that particular decision and sort of have a conclusion on that particular matter. But again, it needs to be documented. And that is exactly what I discussed about the differences of opinion, and conclusions reached should be adequately documented. EQCR, or the Engagement Quality Control Review, is very, very important. It is important to ensure that these particular reviews happen on a regular basis. The firm should be having a particular framework on the audit quality control review. There should be a mandatory requirement that for all the listed companies there has to be an audit quality control reviewer. And in the event that he's not there or she's not there within the firm, then somebody can be sort of sourced from outside, but that individual also needs to be a chartered accountant. There has to be a phase of reviewing the quality across various files on a regular basis so that the engagements are being ensured of adequate quality. The engagement quality reviewer should be completely independent. He should not be selected by the engagement partner. It should be selected by the leadership. He should not participate on any of the decisions during the period of the review. He should not be participating on that front. He should not make any decisions on behalf of the engagement team. And he is not subjected to other considerations that would threaten the reviewer's objectivity. He should be someone who should be sitting quietly in the office, discussing with the engagement partner and the engagement director or the engagement leader, and giving his thoughts on that. And in the event there is a disagreement, then it gets escalated as well. The documentation is very, very important on the audit. You need to ensure that the files need to be sort of assembled within the right period of time on a timely basis. Confidentiality, safe custody of the files is again very, very important, and the ownership of engagement documentation is a propriety of the firm. Monitoring the audit engagement and monitoring the quality control is, of course, ultimate responsibility of the leadership of the firm. Thank you.